Hello, welcome to Jewish Culture and Jewish Awareness. My name is Dustin Hausner. I'm the Jewish Outreach and Program Director at the Wayne YMCA. Our Jewish funding is from the Jewish Federation of Northern New Jersey. So I'm very excited for our guest today because not only is it a reoccurring guest, which is always a nice thing to have, but I would say I got some of the most positive feedback when we had this guest on previously. So I'm happy to bring Ashley back, who is the co-founder of the Matzo Project. So
Ah,
great to have you back.
hi, it's great to be here. I love the bow tie. That's dedication to the cause.
You know what? I figured
Yes,
Passover was coming up, and obviously, the Matzo Project. I thought it fit
yeah,
really, really nicely together.
yeah, you dress for the job you want to have, something like that.
You know what? If I come back as Matzah, there are worse things.
We'll take if you would like to come be the matzah mascot. We could use a matzah mascot.
We'll talk after the call.
Okay, fair enough.
So let me ask you, for anyone who hasn't watched our previous interview, which if you haven't, go watch it now. It's a really fun interview. But for anyone who hasn't, can you please talk a little bit about what is the Matzah Project?
Okay, so the Matzo Project, we make small batch artisanal matzah and matzah adjacent products. We make it all in Brooklyn. We are the first competitor to the American matzah market in 95 years. I was saying 90 years for a while, but then I realized it's been about 5 years since I've been saying 90 years. So it's almost 95 years now. And we make matzah chips, matzah flats, matzah bites, matzah crumbs, matzah ball soup, matzah ball mix, all the matzah items. We make a chocolate covered matzah cluster. And we make everything in Brooklyn. All of our stuff, except for the chocolate and the cinnamon sugar, is all sugar free, dairy free, nut free, vegan, cholesterol free. It's all really good, simple, clean ingredients. And I make it with my summer camp friend, Kevin Rodriguez, who I've known since I was a kid. And yeah, we're having a good time with it. It's really been fun. This is obviously, so our stuff is made in a shared kosher bakery. So it's kosher, but it's not kosher for Passover. We don't get the extra certification to make it kosher for Passover. But however, this is still by far our busiest time of year. So for people who keep a strict kosher house, they're not interested in not kosher for Passover matzah, in which case we say we will see you next week. But for everybody else, for people who are more gastronomic Jews, I've come up with a new
That's a
term.
very nice way of putting it. That was like a very political answer. Like this is
Well,
the terminology will.
well, have you ever heard of like people say like high holiday Jews?
Yes, of
You
course.
heard that term? I feel like we're one step under that, which is like Hanukkah Jews. I'm like a Hanukkah Jew. Like Passover, maybe. Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah, maybe. Hanukkah, always. I never miss Hanukkah, right? And always lighting the candles for Hanukkah, always eating the latkes and the donuts for Hanukkah, always getting 8 presents. Even with my parents, my family who's not religious at all, we still always celebrated Hanukkah. We did have, say, we would have a Seder and we would have, but it was, I remember one year, my family and another family got together for Passover.
Mhm.
And my mother, in her mind, just getting Jewish food from Kosher Treats, which was the Jewish place in Miami that you could get, you would get stuff, is her effort at being Jewish. So she went and she pulled out oh, I got this from this fancy bakery in Miami. Everybody, I got a very special treat. I don't remember what it was like, Baltazar challah. And we're all eating the challah and putting bread on it and eating it. And then somebody was like, wait a minute. This is Passover. We're not supposed to be eating bread this is just because it's challah doesn't mean that it's supposed to be for this holiday. So that's a good example of the kind of Jews that my parents were. And so for me, having matzah at all is matzah. It doesn't have to be kosher for Passover as long as it's cooked in 18 minutes and kosher and symbolic of celebrating my culture. But so point is, even though we're not kosher for Passover, which cuts out a huge portion of people celebrating Passover, it's still such a fun time of year because I get pictures from people who are making our soup and who are putting our matzah on the table and who are feeling festive in a way that I feel really proud of. I've seen a lot of Instagram posts. Someone who said, I was feeling the need to get kind of spiritually connected with my Judaism. And I never really felt in my adult life, like I wanted to buy matzah, and I bought this matzah, and I already feel more Jewish. And I thought, okay, we've done our job here.
What I love particularly about obviously this company you've created is it's such a Jewish American Jewish story in just the product, because it's so traditionally Jewish, but the spin you've done on it is so American. And I will say I think all of them are delicious. My personal favorite is I love the everything one, because
Oh
to
yeah.
me when you do anything with like an everything seasoning or anything, it can be either incredibly powerful where you can only have a few bites, or you barely taste it. I think you've done
Mm.
a wonderful job of finding the balance between flavorful but not overwhelming.
Okay, that's a good compliment. I'm going to pass that along to my partner, Kevin, who literally is in the bakery baking every single chip and square of matzah every time we make it. We make up to 48,000 units per shift, and he is there every time we bake. It's actually remarkable. But so he will be very happy to hear, because he's constantly adjusting the salt and adjusting the thing. Right now, what are they doing? Oh yeah, they're hand salting right now. So they literally are flinging the salt as it goes by, hand salting, because the salter doesn't work. So like just ridiculous. But so I will let him know. He will be very happy to hear that.
I'm excited because I don't want to reveal too much, but I know you have a new flavor. You mentioned it in the beginning, the cinnamon,
Oh yeah, cinnamon sugar.
which I'm really excited about.
Oh
So
yeah. Well, that one's been out. It's been out the whole time, but we now have, starting this month, I think this could be a big reveal
please.
on your show. I don't think anybody knows this yet, but we've started creating these matzah bites, which are little tiny little crackers. We're actually taking on the oyster cracker market. We say that we're putting the oil in oyster cracker. But so we're doing a salted one and we're doing a cinnamon one, and the cinnamon ones, starting in about a week and a half, are going to be in all the snack boxes on JetBlue,
Very nice.
which
Because I
is a
remember,
really,
because last time when we spoke, you had hinted that something like that was going to exist, but
yeah,
you weren't allowed to tell us which company it was with.
yeah,
It was all in the infancy stage. So Mazel Tov.
here
That
it is.
actually
Now
happened.
it's happened. Yes.
Yeah.
So they have the matzo bites. It's just a matter of them actually putting it in the box. I don't know how, I don't know what once they've got it, but it's their problem now. They'll be on the plane soon enough.
Well, let me ask you though, has with everything that happened with COVID, and obviously, and especially the weird time of it now where people are starting to get vaccinated, thank goodness, and things like that,
Yeah.
has that really harmed or affected your business or your bottom line in just dealing with that?
It's interesting. We did about a third the business this Passover, this year, 2021,
Yeah.
that we did three times the amount in 2020.
Oh
And
wow.
I think it's because people, it was right at the beginning. Passover happened, right as
Yeah.
things were closing down. So people were panic buying in general.
Mm.
And I think part of what happened was that last year, the bigger companies, they make their matzo far in advance. They have a machine. They've been making it for so long. They are so, they're owned by a hedge fund company. Like they know their demographics and they know exactly how much matzah is going to get bought, and they don't make a square more than the amount that they need to make. So they couldn't have predicted COVID. They made all of their matzah and got it distributed through like these big giant channels. And then COVID hit and they just weren't nimble enough to be able to then start up production again and make more of it. So we were able to really cash in on that because we're a little company. We hand make our stuff. We were able to just get into, and we luckily have this like pristine, like very like level one like bakery that was able to stay open throughout COVID. And so we were able to go in there and bake when Manischewitz and Strides couldn't. So we were really like had small stores all over New York who were just coming to my house, and I was like leaving them and like running back inside because we were still so afraid of everything. I'd like put a case on the sidewalk and they'd come and pick it up and they'd be like, "You saved Passover." So, and I think also last year people were not getting together, right? So instead of one Seder table with several families around it, each family had their own table and each table needed a box of matzah. So I think that that's why there was three times more business than there has been this year when people are, I think, coming back together, which is a good thing for them, not as good of a thing for us, but we'll take it.
So we mentioned this last time, but I still find it very fascinating. So I know when we spoke previously, there was the idea that you maybe were going to try and do Passover kosher matzah, but possibly it
Yeah.
didn't end up happening this year. But the reasoning is very interesting. It's not like, as you said, you are kosher, like
Yeah.
your matzah is kosher, but
Mhm.
it's because of almost like a technicality that it's not. Can you talk a little bit about that? If you
Oh, okay. So being kosher for Passover is like an additional stamp that
Mhm.
you get. And in order to get that additional certification, everything else in the bakery needs to be either made kosher for Passover or stop production. So
Okay,
that's one of the reasons. There's no way we can ask the other people that we share the kosher bakery with who have no need for a Passover product to
stop
pay
it.
all this extra money or to stop production. So part of it is that you need to hire like pretty much a matzah bodyguard, somebody who sits by the machine for the week that you're making it and says, yep, no yeast flew by while I was sitting here. It's really more symbolic than anything else, because how do you really know that there's no, it's the same air, it's the same conditions than it was the week before and it will be the week after, but symbolically having a rabbi there to say, I sat here, I looked, I didn't see any yeast come by while I was sitting here, it must be yeast free. So it's really more of a ritualistic thing there, but something that uh, we certainly couldn't afford to just hire a rabbi to camp out at our bakery. Also, it's not our bakery, so our bakery is like, you can't have somebody coming and hanging out and sitting by this machine, that kind of thing. Plus, one of the rules is that anything that's kosher for Passover can't be touched by non-Jewish hands. Well, when we first started, especially when we first started, we had friends from all cultures and backgrounds who were helping us. And it was all hands on deck. We were rolling and scraping and cutting and doing,
Right, do what you have to do.
and it's totally antithetical to our own mission, which is to share this culture with all the people of the world. And so to say, we'd like you to buy it, but you're not good enough to touch it is a
I
little
hear you.
dicey for us. So yes, for our purposes, for the thing that we're making, we're really trying to make matzah. Like, we're really trying to recognize matzah as like a good, crispy, neutral cracker, and not so much a ritual item for Passover. And so we'd like to think of ourselves as the matzah that you can eat the other 51 weeks of the year. But we do get people who, like, the only 1-star reviews we get on Amazon are
Mhm.
from people who bought it and were like, how dare they make not kosher for Passover matzah and give it, and we have it all over everything, not kosher for Passover, not kosher for Passover, and
Yeah,
then they
you're
get it,
very open
like,
about it.
1 star. Oh, it's the worst.
But also the thing that again, one other thing that I enjoy is, as you said, not free. Most of it is vegan. Like, you have so many other great attributes that people can have all throughout the year. In fact, I had a friend over. This was like a couple months back. This was not long after our interview, and I had a bunch of, obviously, your product, which I had before the interview. I want to assure you of that. I did try it beforehand, but and she has and my friend's girlfriend had like a number of allergies, and that was like the one thing she could eat in the house was,
Yeah.
and she enjoyed it and she had a great time. But like, it's so inclusive in that way, and it tastes really good with like salsa and guacamole and hummus, of course, if we're going
All
to.
kinds of stuff. Yeah. And so I think the idea is, it is of course matzah. And oh, and the other thing is, I don't think people realize that the other matzah companies, the rest of the year, their matzah isn't kosher for Passover matzah either. Egg matzah is never kosher for Passover matzah. Like, the only matzah that's kosher for Passover is plain salt and flour, babysat by a rabbi for the week of Passover. But the rest of the matzah that you get any other time of the year from any of the companies is not kosher for Passover matzah. But we have been contacted by some like Israeli matzah companies that like just sending us like love letters of like, we love what you're doing, and it's just so cool. And from like a fourth generation, the guy was, it was his great 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 grandmother's matzah company, and he saw it and he was just so tickled by what we were doing that he just sent this wonderful note. We thought, oh, maybe one day we will make like a commemorative tin and do like a yearly kosher for Passover matzah with him in his factory, which we know will be kosher for Passover. So we can just bring our recipe over there and do it there. So that's a we're still a 4-person company. So the idea of having to go to Israel and make a thing and do a thing is a long way off, but definitely something to consider in the future.
So, well, that's a good segue. So, is there particular things that we should be on the lookout for, either as a product or something you're looking to do with the Matzo Project? Because again, I know originally the thing that you mentioned last time was about the airline and the little
Yeah.
one, which is wonderful that that's being done. Congratulations.
Yeah. Yeah.
But is there other things we should be looking out for in the future?
So we have the cinnamon sugar, and then we're launching the salted, which we really want to make into an oyster cracker. I'm really like, I had, we were doing this virtual trade show all week this week. I'm a little like, I might be a little loopy because it was every 5 minutes, and you'd have 5 minutes, and then it would completely, you'd be talking, you'd be like, okay, goodbye. And then it would shut off and immediately open on the next person. There was no time. It was like, your next meeting has begun. I'd be like, oh, hello, okay. And then like every 5 minutes, it was really hectic. But it was all colleges, hospitals, senior living facilities. It was food service people. And so that was been really exciting to talk to them about, like, I'm coming for you, saltines, like, look out, oyster crackers. So we're going to be making those. Those are the matzo bites. And then did you get to try our chocolate unga pachkis?
So I haven't, for a very, very good reason though.
Oh,
I either haven't been able to find them because they're sold out in stores, or,
yeah.
and I was going to bring it up later, I have checked on your website fairly recently, and a
Mhm.
lot of it is sold out, which that's a very good thing because obviously people are buying it. But on the other hand, if poor little schlubs like me,
Oh, well, we'll have to see if we can dig some up for you. I mean, it is, I have to say, no hype, scrumptious.
you
They are.
literally, when the last time you were here, you were talking about it almost like Willy Wonka, where like this is the product that's
It's
gonna,
it.
you know,
It's it.
yeah.
But I think, I mean, what I was probably saying is that I think people are intimidated by the name Ungapatchki. I
Yeah.
think people just are like, I don't know what that is, and it seems foreign. And so and I think, we make them with like a French chocolatier who's literally like hand making each one. And I think the price point is too high for people to try something that they've never tried before, but we can't make it any less because we're paying this French chocolatier to make them, and it's so delicious.
Mhm.
So I think next, and we only make them in the cooler months because
Makes
if
sense.
if we sent them to people and it was just a big gloppy mess in July, you would not have more 1-star reviews on Amazon that we cannot afford. But I think we're going to start doing them and calling them Wonder Clusters.
Hmm.
And I think we're going to make them just like single size. So like one kind of flatter Wonder Cluster, almost like a Google cluster.
Okay.
The Google cluster, like something that got like kind of a one piece thing that you can get at the cash register versus like right now they come in a really cute little box and they're like a giftable item. This would be like I'm going to get this to eat on my way home and not tell anybody that I bought it.
So the sinful Jewish secret that we
Yeah.
but
Well, we have the little, talk bubbles on all of our boxes.
Mhm.
And one on the Ungapatchi says, get them away from me, which is definitely about that. Yeah.
So, but if somebody wanted to purchase some of these great products, again, I know on the website, at least as of right now, it's sold out. So where can people find it?
We're back. It's not all sold out anymore. So the reason it was sold out was that in the middle of all of this, the warehouse that we were in went under. And so
Oh, goodness.
we had to move all of our products and get a new warehouse. And so there was all this like, boy, running a food business, like the logistics are just
Yeah.
bonkers. It's not all crackers and ungapachkis. But so we had to move it, and in the process things were just sold out because we took a loss on all the product that was in that one warehouse, and we had to start up with a new warehouse. But now everything should be back up and running, fresh product, new product online.
Wonderful.
And everything should be there. But I do think that the ungapachkis are now sold out in earnest, but I might have a box or two that I will send you. I'll have to dig up and see because there's
We'll negotiate it in the contract when you make me the new mascot. I'll include that as part of the. Though I do have to fight your grandmother mascot, which I feel, as a Jewish person, I feel very guilty about that. I'm not sure how I feel about that.
She'll share the limelight.
So wonderful. So yeah, well, let me ask you just very quickly, do you have any fun Passover plans yourself? Are you I won't ask you if you're going to eat just tons of your own products because I'm kind of giving that that's probably going to happen. But
Yeah.
what are you doing for Passover? Anything fun?
So I'm in Chicago right now. I live most of the time in Brooklyn, but I have my other business. I have a second location in Chicago. And so I was here because we've been closed. It's a shuffleboard club and we've been closed for all of COVID. And we've just now started to open a little bit. So I came to Chicago to do that. And then my dog had to have surgery. So I've been stuck in Chicago. He's fine. And I have, okay, let me see. This is my grandfather's brother's daughter.
All
So
right.
my great uncle's daughter. So my second cousin, first cousin twice removed, second cousin once removed, something like that.
I feel like I'm in a scene in Spaceballs right now where
Yeah,
it's my brother's uncle's roommate. What is it?
exactly. So
Dustin?
my dad's father's brother's daughter
Yes.
lives in outside of Chicago, and she invited me to
Okay.
come over. But the only reason I even know them is because, my job for many years was doing voiceovers, and I was on a show called Daria,
Mhm.
and which was a show on MTV or long time ago that people of a certain age freak out about. Voiceovers was my full-time job for 25 years. I've done a bunch of incredible work. Nobody cares about anything but Daria. Daria is like the only thing anybody cares about. Anyway, this one character that I do on Daria is credited with being the first pop culture instance of vocal fry. Do you know what vocal fry is?
Not familiar with the term.
Like when you talk like this and like,
No kidding. Wait a minute. Doria glasses and the
yes. I wasn't Daria. I was just on the show.
no, but
So
that's still that was an iconic show.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Everybody's very excited about that show. So
Yeah.
anyway, somebody on Twitter wrote, I just found out that a distant cousin of mine invented vocal fry on Daria and tweeted me.
Mhm.
And so I was like, cousin, I'm an only child and an only grandchild. I don't have anybody, no cousins, no nothing.
Mhm.
But this was like this distant relative, and that guy is this person's son.
Wow.
And so I'm going to their house for Passover.
That I was gonna say that sounds like a very Jewish thing. Like I don't know, and then like 50,000 people later. Oh yeah.
Exactly. And here we are, we're going to Passover. Although you'll appreciate this one's really good.
Okay.
So last week, maybe a week and a half ago, we get the most gushy, mushy, lovely like email. When you order something on our website, it's like there's a little place to either leave a gift note or, oh, sorry, my dog jumping, to either leave a gift note or we'll say, or just say hello. So this person left this whole long love letter to us saying like, I cannot believe how great your product is. It speaks to me as if my relatives were speaking directly to me. I love it so much. I just can't get over how wonderful it is. My grandmother, Hashi, blah, 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 talks about all this stuff, right? Very, very nice note. I don't get this. Nobody sent it to me. It was just sort of, Cheryl and Kevin got it and read it, and it was beautiful. And maybe they were going to forward it along, but I hadn't seen it yet. Well, this person writes back again and she's like, get ready to have your mind blown.
Okay.
Ashley is my cousin. So this one is the same thing. It's my grandfather on my other side's sister's daughter's daughter.
Huh. Okay.
So, but what are the odds? And Hashi is her Hashi is my grandfather's sister Hashi. It's like, what?
I'm glad your relatives are proud of the work you do. So
and I feel like that's a testament that we really nailed the voice,
yeah.
or maybe that we really nailed exactly what our own relatives sound like, because she said, I feel like it's my family talking to me. And I was like, well, yeah, because it turns out it's actually your family talking to you. This is how your family talks because we are part of the same family. Isn't that crazy?
That is a very Jewish story. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. So, but I want to thank you very much for taking the time to speak.
Oh, sure.
Today. It was really wonderful to speak with you again. sounds like for anyone who's interested, you can get it online. Very soon you'll be able to get everything online, which will be
Well, you can get it online now. It's all on our matzoproject.com and on Amazon. If you go on Amazon, please leave us a good review. It's amazing how when you don't have very many reviews, if somebody leaves a 1-star
right.
review,
And I didn't
you're
go.
sunk.
Yeah.
You're sunk. And there's such unfair reviews. It's like delicious, but one of them was broken. 1 star. And you're like, no.
I've had quite a few people who have had similar experiences where literally it's a bunch of positives, but that one bad one then just
Kills you. And I think that people just don't realize that they're actually just there's just people behind the product doing their best. It's so frustrating. But so if you do buy it on Amazon, please give us a good review. And if you don't like it, then don't leave a review at all. Just send me a nasty note and tell me, say, emotionally, I'm giving you 1 star. I just want you to know I didn't say it, but I want you to feel bad about the fact that I would have given you 1 star, and I'll make it better.
and there's some beautiful Jewish guilds right in the good time for
Yeah.
Passover. But please stick around. We'll talk about my contract. But everyone out there, especially Ashley, have a wonderful Passover.
And to
Stay
you.
safe, stay well. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you, Ashley, for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me.